We are a channel that appreciates its viewers. We give our utmost effort for the best quality content, and we even push for the highest quality effort when it comes to how we look for you on screen.
Hi. When I need my skin to look its absolute best when I'm blowing the heads off zombies, I set my ring light to 4700K. Because I care. Maybe he's born with it.
Join our community. Join a channel that loves its viewers. Join this channel because we care.
What up, what up?
Hey, what's up, my friend?
How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Oh, I could be doing a bit better, but I'm doing okay overall.
Yeah? What's going on with you?
Oh, not much. The doctor who was looking at my blood that took about 12 vials back in December of 2022 lost them between his office and Mayo Clinic.
He lost your blood?
Yeah. So a month after waiting for the results and not knowing if I have cancer or not, I get there, and 36 minutes after my appointment, I get seen by him. I did voice a complaint with him, though, and I offered a solution. Hopefully he'll put that into work. He tells me, we don't have your results. We're going to need to take more blood from you and send it out.
Oh, my God.
So I have to wait till the end of this month to find out those results, if they even get it right. They took like 6 little tubes of blood. It's like, I think they're drinking it. So
I was going to say,
frustrated.
maybe your hematologist is a vampire.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's drinking it. Outside of that, I'm doing pretty good. I just frustrated as heck with that. It's like, why? Why does it have to be so difficult?
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Okay, so I apologize for my ignorance, but you know what I just learned this week in our research for our topic?
What's that?
I did not know there were different types of cancer. I mean, like, I know that there's like lung cancer and, ovarian cancer. I know, but I thought cancer was kind of a very specific thing, but it seems like a general blanket terminology.
No. Yeah.
How
Jody,
would you describe cancer?
Cancer is something that can exist in literally any part of us. And it's got various different forms. My dad passed away from multiple myeloma, a form of bone marrow cancer, basically where it starts to just produce blood cells instead of producing good ones. It's now producing this overabundance of these cancerous ones, the white, I guess, and it just attacks everything. My girlfriend, she dealt with breast cancer, and so we went through that. She's now in the remission part of it, and once she reaches 5 years or so, where it's been in remission, and after taking her little medicine that she has to take every day, they'll call it then cured.
Now, from my understanding, remission means that it's not currently growing, right?
It means that it's
gone,
not active.
Right?
Yes, it means that it's not growing in size, or it's not actively moving into different parts of you.
But it's not gone.
But no. It doesn't mean it's gone. It just means that what currently might be there is currently not active. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of scary when you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, in my life, I've been fortunate that I haven't had anyone close to me that's died of cancer. Weird one. Let's say family members or close family friends. I did just recently, this was kind of a weird one for me, and I guess it's getting older and understanding your mortality. I had about 6 months ago, an ex-girlfriend from high school. Like we had dated for a long time and into college and stuff like that. She had passed of cancer.
Wow.
And then about 3 years before that, a guy that we were skateboard buddies back in the 7th and 8th grade. He
Okay.
had passed of cancer as well.
Oh
So
man.
it's one of those things that I don't know because I haven't had to, like with my mom's kidney disease and heart disease. I had to take care of her, so I know a lot more about
Well,
those
of course, because it's
particular
directly
things.
involving you in that. Yeah.
Right. So, this week really made me understand how grossly undereducated about cancer I am, just in general.
Gotcha.
So just to get everybody kind of up to scope, cancer itself is not our topic this week. Our topic is a form of cancer, though. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right. You want to read that?
Yes. Leukemia is a broad term for cancers of the blood cells. The type of leukemia depends on the type of blood cell that becomes cancer and whether it grows quickly or slowly. Leukemia occurs most often in adults older than 55, but it's also the most common cancer in children under the age of 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this one was a little bit tougher because I kept running into a lot of media about just cancer in general, but not specifically leukemia. But now leukemia attacks the blood cells.
Yes.
Okay, and I know when I was doing extra research, I saw that it particularly affects like the bone marrow and like soft tissue or something like that. What was it? Things to know about leukemia. But I know bone marrow was one of the issues.
Yes, because that's where our blood is created.
Right. Oh, here we go. Essential facts. So let's go ahead and should we start off with one of these little video clips? Or do you have anything to say or any thoughts about this before we go into it? How have you had to deal with anyone with leukemia in your life?
I had a cat that had feline leukemia that passed away early, and that's the closest I got to it.
Right.
I didn't even realize cats could get that, but it makes sense. It's a blood cancer, and a living being can get cancer anywhere. So I was just wow. That was the first time I ever really dealt with it on a personal level.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of these topics, sometimes, especially John, because he's been around so many different types of people with disabilities. My experience with a lot of different people with disabilities tends to come in the earlier form from being a teacher. So it's dealing with mostly kids, whereas I think you've dealt with people at different phases of their life, both
Yes.
older people and younger
All
people.
ages.
Right. So this will be an interesting one. Let's go ahead and get started with one of these videos. Is there anything you want us? We're going to start with a walk to remember.
That's a good one.
Is there anything you want to set up or anything you need to say, or should we just start rolling the film?
Let's go ahead and roll it, and we'll talk about it after.
Boom.
I was so drunk, I don't remember anything.
That's great. From citizen high to citizen low. You worried about your college applications?
No. I'm not applying to college.
I thought you said
No. You assumed.
you would take a year off, try the Peace Corps thing?
No.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
I'm sick.
I'll take you home. You'll be better tomorrow.
No, Landon. I'm sick. I have leukemia.
No. You're 18. You're perfect.
No. I found out 2 years ago, and I've stopped responding to treatments.
So why didn't you tell me?
The doctor said I should go on and live life normally as best I could. I don't want anybody to be weird around me.
Including me?
Especially especially you. You know, I was getting along with everything fine. I accepted it, and then you happen. I do not need a reason to be angry with God.
Whew. Yeah. And that reaction that he did would be pretty much what anybody would do when you're at that age and stuff. You're like, but you're 18. You're perfect.
Right.
Age has nothing to do with disability, and this is a form of disability.
Right. And I think obviously I don't know if they were in that scene, if they were dating or if they were interested in each other or what it is, but when you care about someone, sometimes it's a little harder to believe that
Yes.
something could be wrong with them, especially when it's not something you can see readily on the outside.
Yes.
It's not like she was on crutches or anything like that.
No. When my dad told me he had multiple myeloma, he was shocked when I said, I know what that is. That means that from the time you got diagnosed, you only have 5 years.
Wow.
And he looked at me in complete disarray, like, how do you know that? I said, because if you've been wondering why I've been away for a couple of days at a time and stuff, for these last couple of months and stuff, I've been helping a very good friend of mine with his dad who's passing away from this stuff. We just went to his funeral yesterday.
Oh, man.
And I've been helping my friend through this dark period of his time. And yeah, I mean, if you looked at the dad, you saw him, he would just look like fairly healthy, other than the fact that he looked a bit underweight because he was going through chemo and all that crap, trying to get rid of it.
So sorry.
No problem.
Keep
It's
going,
like this with leukemia. You look at somebody, it doesn't always show, like you said, it doesn't always show immediately that there's something wrong.
Right.
That's what makes it so difficult to grasp or understand or even realize that it's real.
Right. Graveyard says it doesn't matter the age, but for young kids, it's hard to even fathom that they could get this.
Yes.
That's correct. And when I was reading up, I have a passage here about how does somebody know if they have leukemia. And interestingly, for a lot of people, they don't know
exactly
that they have leukemia. It comes up when they're doing a routine physical or a blood check, and that's when they can see the white blood cell count. There's something off.
Yes.
But it says here, this is from WebMD that I'm reading this from, but it says leukemia may be diagnosed incidentally during a physical exam or as a result of a routine blood testing. If a person appears pale, enlarged lymph nodes, swollen gums, enlarged liver or spleen, significant bruising, bleeding, fever, persistent infections, fatigue, or small pinpoint rashes, the doctor should suspect leukemia. Yeah. Right, now that makes sense, right? Because like if your blood cell's not healthy, I mean that bruising, it means that your skin and everything's going to be a lot more sensitive, I believe.
More than likely, yes. These checks should be standard yearly, but this healthcare system doesn't care enough to do it. You're correct. The reason it doesn't care is because there's too much money to be made on keeping people sick and ill. There's just too much money in it. The whole healthcare system is broken so bad that
they don't
even
make
though
money from well people.
Yeah, and it just frustrates me because it's something that can be fixed. We can't have healthcare for all without it being a stupid, hey, it's socialism. Really? Socialism, right? Well, then let's get rid of the U.S. mail. Let's get rid of public hospitals, public libraries, public schools, Social Security, electricity, the internet,
food stamps.
Get rid of the roads. Have a toll for every place that you go on. Sidewalk tolls, road tolls.
Fire department.
Fire department, ambulance services. Come on, let's capitalize it all. I mean, we're about capitalism here. Let's capitalize it all.
Well, aren't we the only industrialized nation that doesn't have public health care?
Yep. That and that a better education system so that people in situations like myself or anybody else that I would like to go to college. Yeah, right. Sure. There's no way I can afford it. So I can't, so it limits us. It keeps the whole economy down too, because it's been proven an educated population is one that can then get better job positions or become entrepreneurs a little bit more with more knowledge.
Educated and healthy.
and healthy. Yes, and a healthy population means that you have people that are working more efficiently, taking less time off, being happier at what
higher
they do.
gross domestic or
Yes,
GDP.
it all pays itself back in ways that we can't imagine because our whole system is just about one thing: greed.
Right,
Hey,
right.
I'm all for
It's
capitalism.
it's funny how this conversation seems to come up quite often when
It
we're
does
talking
with
about
healthcare.
all of these topics.
Yeah, you know.
Um, yeah, it's. I feel like, well, this could be a whole Kyber Cave After Dark discussion. Write down some notes, Graveyard. I feel like there's almost like a dismantling of the country bit by bit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie Pretty Woman with Richard Gere and
Yes.
what's her
Great
name?
movie.
Julia Roberts, right?
Yes.
Do you remember what his job was?
No, I don't.
Why he was so rich, or what he did?
I thought
Or
he was
like,
a publisher.
no, his job, I don't know the name of the job exactly, but his job, because he explains it to Julia Roberts in the movie, but he says that he goes in and buys companies that are struggling and splits them up and then sells them for more as the individual
He's a venture
pieces.
capitalist. He's a venture capitalist, is what that is, I think.
I almost feel like that's what's happening with our country. You know what I mean? People
Yes.
are cutting off little chunks and they're
that's been
making
going on
as
for
much
decades.
as they can, but they're not looking at the how it's affecting the mass.
I was looking up who owned a particular, who owned the hematology company.
Mm-hmm.
A company over in India.
Wow.
Yeah, a company over in India owns the hematology place that I've been going to, as well as the entire hematology oncology American consortium,
Right.
this huge conglomerate of things. I'm like, wow,
Right.
Wow.
Right. Let's see. Graveyard says, before I had kids, I took away too much discussion with my doctor to just run the gamut of blood work on myself to do a thorough checkup. Catching things early is too much work.
Yeah. Yep. And here's the thing. Have you guys been watching New Amsterdam?
No, I'm not aware of it.
New Amsterdam is about a public hospital, the first public hospital in America, that the new medical director comes in and just turns everything on its head. He does things the way that we talk about doing things all the time. Oh,
Right.
You need this done. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. And he fired the entire cardiology department, except one person, made him the head of the new one because that guy was doing things the right way,
right,
patient focused. And he's turning this hospital around slowly but surely. But of course, they have their antagonist, or whatever you want to call them, their villains.
Probably insurance
billion
people,
dollar investor comes in and says, we want to turn this into a for-profit building.
right.
And he goes, but you see, that's the problem with a public place like this, is that it's for the people, no matter what the cost. And you have to understand that. They just recently started to discover that people coming in for emergency care, if they were able to come in anytime knowing that they can get free service, take care of the problems before they become an emergency, doesn't cost the hospital nearly as much. And that's kind of the whole thing that I've been trying to get through to the heads of to various different people at the state level, at the federal level, about my stupid Medicare. Just cover my wheelchair and my levers instead of covering this $80,000 gosh darn surgery that I'm going to be going. It's going to be $15,000.
The thing is it's not about cost, dude. It's really not about cost.
Oh, I know it's not. It's about them looking like they need more money.
Right, exactly. I
know what they're doing, but it's at my expense.
Didn't you and I talk about this with the military, with the
yes,
naval spending?
We did.
It's the same exact thing with the medical,
exactly.
The medical
or like
system.
Corporate departments trying to make their department look like they're using more stuff and more money, so they keep getting more every year.
Exactly.
I get it, but it's like at my expense. I'm trying my best not to make that at my expense.
Exactly. Unfortunately, that's kind of the system that we live in and we work in, and until there are more shows like this that can make people aware, because I think a lot of times, in America, I mean, let's face it, America is a youth culture, right? Everything on TV is about being young and sexy, and being young and sexy forever, right?
Yeah.
Even God, I hate to say it, and if this is something that you're into, no disrespect to you, but Madonna looks like hell, dude.
Oh, she does. She's falling apart.
She looks like a cat. or something. Like, she's got these weird lips and cheekbones. My whole thing is like, we're so obsessed with youth culture and being youthful that we'll literally destroy ourselves to try to keep this or to try to achieve this or attain it.
Graveyard was never young and sexy.
That's because he's got that fabulous beard to fall on. Dude.
He's just got that, and people go, beard. How's he get it so nice looking?
So,
mine just came out like angry.
So with leukemia, it is a form of cancer.
Yes.
And so a lot of the procedures, and I guess a lot of what you go through to help cure it would be the same as that you do with cancer.
Yes. It's very frustrating because you hear about people with this and stuff, and if they did like what Graveyard was saying, earlier diagnostic checking, preventative stuff,
right,
we could be saving more people, saving the country and taxpayers trillions of dollars. Pardon me. And we could be a much more efficient system. And believe it or not, that means more profits that the insurance companies get to keep, because now they're not paying it out on avoidable. See, that's the thing that cracks me up. It's like, so, and I know you said it's not about cost, it's about how much money it looks like they're spending. But here's the thing. I did an estimate. If this surgery proves to be successful, in 15 years, they will have put $450,000 of devices into me versus just, and again, it makes them look how expensive it is to maintain people at this age rate and blah, blah, blah. Makes it look like taxpayers need to pay more into the Social Security fund or the income tax fund. Right. It's like, this is BS. And, it's like that with cancer and things like that. And, if we had ways of detecting things earlier, maybe that young 18-year-old might have a way of having that not kill her.
Hey, not to get into conspiracy theories and such, but let me ask you a personal question. Do you think that the cure for cancer exists?
Yes, I've thought that for years.
I've heard that it exists, but it's being bottled.
Yeah, what happens in these cases is, let's say you come up with a fantastic idea that cures cancer, and you go to take that around and you say, look, I want to produce this, I want to make this available to everybody because it's going to help change the world. And what happens is big pharma or a company will come along and say, all right, let's sit down and talk, and they'll make it sound like we're going to work out this deal, and they'll in the contract have a way of getting it out of your control and closeting it, locking it away in the dark.
Right.
Yeah, they gave you $50 million. They'll give you $50 million a year for the rest of your life for you to shut the fuck up about it.
Right.
You can never talk about it again. They do this with other inventions too and stuff. It's called not invented here syndrome.
The water-powered engine.
Yes, things like that. Yeah. It's called the not invented here syndrome. If it wasn't thought up by us and invented here originally, we don't want it, but we're going to go ahead and buy it from you and bury it.
Right.
And yeah, I personally think it may not be the cure for every cancer, but I think there are cures for different cancers out there that have been locked away. So that way, think about it. The Cancer Institute of America makes billions of dollars a year. Various other organizations and stuff make tons of money by having their hand out year round going, more. Hey, we're so close, people. We're so close. More. Right. Why put the cure out there when all of these places have no reason to stop collecting funds?
That would mean
and you say,
jobs.
But they're not profitable. They're non-profits. That doesn't mean they don't make money.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's one reason why I didn't take a bill of TV and just started off as a nonprofit. I didn't want people to see me go, oh, he could be making money behind the scenes and telling people he's nonprofit. You're correct. For example, I could take donations. I could pay 98% of it in a paycheck to me and put whatever amount I want towards buying equipment and keeping this going and say, all right, and let's say I'm making $10 million a week. It's like, woohoo. But hey, I'm a nonprofit.
That's exactly
I hate that.
The reason I don't give, when you go to Taco Bell and they're like, "You want to round up your change to help
Oh, yes.
local college
Yes.
and then if you say no, you just sound like a jerk, right?
You do. You do. And that's
I
the
will
whole
tell
idea. They
them
want to
no
guilt
straight
you
up,
into it.
right? Because first off, they're going to take this money and it's going to be a tax write-off for their corporation and
For
their
them,
company.
not you.
So
Yeah.
you all you're doing is you're helping Taco Bell or whoever else pay down their taxes. Um, but then on top of that, a lot of these organizations I've seen like there was a lot of controversy. I don't know if you remember. Well, back in the '80s, for all of y'all youngins, or for all of y'all old folks, the youngins won't know this, but back in the '80s, they had the Hands Across America,
Yes, I
and
remember that.
yeah, and in fact, they mention it in Us, Jordan Peele's
Yes.
Us.
Yes,
They
they
talk
do. In fact,
about
that was
that.
a key theme of it, that movie.
Exactly, but the thing is, the people that lived through that time period and remember, it was actually it ended up being like almost like a huge scam, right? So many
Yes.
celebrities, so many people got into it.
Yes.
This was supposed to be the thing that was going to knock out hunger in the United States, but what it ended up being was like, I think of all the millions upon millions of dollars raised, I want to say only like 15% of it actually got to the
Precisely.
actual cause. A lot
Precisely.
of these organizations, right, that
Oh,
we're
administrative
fighting
costs.
breast cancer, we're fighting this or this. They have these companies and these organizations that all have employees, even if they're nonprofits, they're still making money from it, right?
Yes,
And
they
a
have to
lot
pay
of
the lights
times,
somehow.
exactly. A lot of times they've spent so much money in the advertising and just existing that they have so little to actually give to the cause that they're
Precisely.
purportedly here for.
Exactly. And this is one of my big reasons for doing things slowly the way that I've done over the years. And it's like, I don't care if I have a huge community or not. It's stuff. I just want to focus on like what we do here, the people. And uh, Graveyard is asking a really good question here.
Yeah,
How do you
actually, I was
feel
just looking
about
at that.
gene therapy, basically targeted gene therapy? What I personally feel about any of this gene or this genetic stuff?
Well, let's read the whole
Oh,
sentence
I'm
first,
sorry.
and then yeah.
I'm sorry. How do you feel about gene therapy and editing DNA to potentially cure cancer, help the body repair itself?
All right, now go
That,
ahead and
that is all used as a ploy to get people to buy into eugenics. Understand what eugenics, the word eugenics itself just means of good blood. That's all it means. But you put humans behind the word, and now all of a sudden we could put negativity to it, meaning that we're now going to filter out the population by
well,
the good
that was
genetics.
what was used during the slave times.
Back in the day, it was done on looks, it was done on features that we could see. But think about what eugenics is. It just transformed into genetics over the years. So now we study how to take literally the DNA and everything apart. So now we know how to destroy particular ethnicities off the planet if we want to delete them. We have a way of now removing or giving any particular strain that has a particular DNA pattern a particular disease that we know won't transfer over to those without it. Things like AIDS and things like that. And other types of very specifically targeted possible weaponizations of that. It's basically just a way of taking genetics and going from eugenics to the really fine, really zoomed in on the tiniest little details that we can now destroy if we want, and just wreck the world with mysterious things that might pop up here and there. And I'm not including COVID, because COVIDs exist in various forms for millions of years, but I'm talking about things that we can do, like prevent people from getting certain medicines.
Right.
Okay. And stuff. It's just maddening because, yes, it can be used for good, but before usually anything like that is used for good, what do we do with it? We weaponize it.
Right. Well, I mean that is the human nature of it, right? Like the atomic bomb. The atomic bomb was not created to kill people. It was created to create energy for people.
Exactly.
But some people in the government found a way to weaponize that. Look, and this is how I feel about a Graveyard. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on it, Graveyard.
Definitely.
I'm the Gemini here, right? Like I'm a Gemini through and through, so I see both the good and the bad. You know what I mean? Like What there's a piece of equipment called the CRISPR, where they
Yes.
can do the DNA editing. So let me ask you this, John. We have the ability to take away diseases now
Yes.
that plague people. And you being a person who's disabled, you weren't born with disabilities. You had acquired disabilities, other than
This,
maybe
yeah, my
some other
physical one. My mental
your physicals,
disabilities, though,
right?
those are a part of me. But
But
yeah,
what? Why? What if we have the ability to get rid of these?
here's the thing. What they're finding out, at least when I was working at the hospital where I was, as they remove parts of the DNA that they feel might be the dangerous or damaging parts, new things develop that they never expected that are worse. Or
Mutants, X Men.
basically,
Yeah,
basically,
baby, that was our time.
basically unexpected, unexpected um, results that were not. Now, some might be good, kind of like accidental inventions happen a lot, but there are the others that might turn into something that's like humans that are born that don't have skin on their body. All of their organs and everything are exposed on the outside of their body. Changing the DNA of something like that might end up changing something important when the person goes to have children or something. So they're
Yeah, I
learning that
know this
we
is
have the
very
ability.
controversial.
Yeah, we have the ability, but maybe like in Jurassic Park, should we do it just because
Right.
we can?
But
And
I
we don't
mean,
really understand everything about it yet.
I think about Marissa's poor friend who has the stiff body syndrome.
Yeah,
What if we had the ability to take that away from her? You know what I
that
mean?
would be epic. I mean, if we actually used this technology the way that I would love to see it used to do exactly that, to help people with things, that would be so epic. But again, they would only do that for people that are willing to pay the most money for it.
Right, and unfortunately, it's usually the people with money that you have to worry about. Um, I did hear that you could do things like you could say I want my child to have blonde hair with blue eyes, and I want him
Yes,
to be 6 foot tall, and I want him to have these certain genetic traits.
they
Um,
they can work towards, yeah,
Right.
they,
So,
yeah,
in the wrong hands, I could see exactly what you're talking. I mean, it's exactly what Mr. Hitler wanted. You know what I mean? He wanted the perfect race or whatever. So I could see. I think that was the topic. Wasn't that the topic of the movie Gattaca?
yes,
Didn't you see that? Did you see that movie?
oh yeah, good movie,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
movie.
yeah. Yeah. This might be an interesting discussion for other times too, because technically we're supposed to be talking about leukemia right now.
Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah. It happens all the time. Welcome to Kyber Cave.
But yeah,
Um,
targeted gene therapy though, and just like using targeted medicine therapy to where you find out what a person's DNA and genetics are like, and then you work with that to find out what medicines work the best with it. I think if you combine these two things, you can really come up with stuff that benefits humankind in ways that we can't even comprehend right now. But
right.
we can't do that because of the way our system is designed. It works against that. Even though we might have a pocket here or little area there that might do that, but it's got to be nationwide that this all happens for and for everybody that it really
Right.
begins to help.
It's got to be worldwide.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Let's go to another clip.
All right.
We're at the 40-minute point here. Actually, we're behind on this, but let's go ahead and hit another clip.
Tell me how it will be.
You won't want to eat much from now on. You'll be thirsty and sometimes feverish. You'll want to sleep a lot. You'll have little or no energy.
Will it hurt?
No. The morphine will make sure you're not in any pain. It'll give you some beautiful dreams.
Hi there. I keep thinking I've met your baby. Is this happening?
Yeah.
I don't know what's real.
I am.
Do you think I'll be scared? I think you've had the worst luck in the world. And if I was in your shoes, I would be scared. But I also believe that however you handle these last few days will be exactly as it should be done.
I hate it when you say days.
Quite soon you'll start to drift in and out of consciousness. Sometimes you won't be able to respond, but you'll know people are there, you'll hear them talk.
Thank you for staying with her.
I love it.
And eventually, Tess, you just drift away. Do you have any other questions?
Wow, that was very emotional. I mean, just whew. Who opened up the onion here? Who cut that onion open?
Yeah, man. I remember when I was taking care of my mom as she was passing, and we had hospice come through and help out, which was fantastic. You know, they helped out with the things that I couldn't do with like the bathing and some of the more womanly things or whatever. I remember the woman gave me a book on what to expect in the last year of life, in the last 6, and it broke it down. This is what to expect in the last year. This is what to expect in the last 6 months. This is what to expect in the last 3 months. This is what to expect in the last month. This is what to expect in the last week. This is what to expect in the last days. And it was amazing to me. Like things didn't necessarily go in the order that I thought they were going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it often doesn't, but at least it gave you a little bit of insight.
Right.
Might have been not exactly pinpoint, but it gave you at least some insight on what to sort of be ready for.
Right.
And, wow.
Um.
She sounded like an awesome person from the way you talk about her, my friend. Tough, but awesome. Yeah, I know. I've seen it when I was growing up. Different culture families have very strict parents usually, and if you're not, a lot of pressure on being good at everything, good grades, everything, and so that's what I mean by strict, but also very good because they did this out of love.
Right. Graveyard says I got shots 4 years ago to get rid of my allergies. See, that's where some of this editing stuff. This is where some of it's actually good. The Midnight Club show is about a group of teenagers who all have different forms of cancer and set in their hospitals and is a ghost story. Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a good one.
I was not familiar with that one. Man. That's end of life is a whole different thing. And I didn't realize, I know, I was aware of hospice, but when we watched that Fearless with Chris Hemingway, they had the death doula, which was, the only time I'd ever heard of doula was during pregnancies and during birth, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But how interesting to have someone at both ends of life.
Very, very interesting. And yeah, there are some cultures to where they have traditions for both parts of life. It's really amazing. It's kind of like if you ever seen in the French Quarter where they have the jazz bands and somebody's carrying down the casket and they're dancing and they're all celebrating the person's living life of what they had rather than being sad that they're gone, but celebrate. I mean, just different cultures and different ways that people deal with things is amazing to me.
Well, I was even just watching a YouTube, where they break down like Easter eggs and different theories and stuff. And I was watching one on Wakanda Forever, and it was like things that you might have missed or whatever. And they broke down a scene, and I was thinking about it, and it makes me think about this right now.
Okay.
But it was the scene where the have you seen Wakanda Forever?
I think yes, I have. Yes, I have.
The latest Black Panther movie?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So spoiler alerts for anybody who has not seen Wakanda Forever. Because I'm going to talk about it. I'm just throwing it out there. So go ahead and skip about 5 minutes if you don't want to hear this. But there's the scene where obviously we know T'Challa dies.
Yes.
Chadwick Boseman dies, and they had to write around that. Mother Ramona, her and Suri go and have a ritual. It's after their time of mourning, and they're supposed to burn the grass.
Yes.
And the mother says the burning of the grass symbolizes the end of this relationship, but the beginning of a new relationship.
Yes.
With, and the YouTuber that I was watching, I can't remember which one it was, but he was tying in how at the end of the movie, in the post-credit scenes, when Suri meets Toussaint, when she meets her nephew for the first time, it was she had finally let go of T'Challa and burned the grass, and that's when the son comes, and he is her new relationship with her brother.
Oh, okay.
So he represents the new relationship. When she finally could let go and start this new relationship with her brother, her nephew walks in.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. That's very powerful.
A lot of cultures see it, a lot of different ways.
Yes, they do.
It's amazing how it's something we all have to go through, but nobody has the answers for.
Exactly. It's we're all going to face it. We're all born. If you're born and live long enough, guess what? At some point, it's going to happen.
Right. Hey, I usually I try to get the videos in earlier, but sometimes we get chat and I forget. I'm going to go ahead and roll our last clip for the night. And that'll set us up to talk about some of the things, people that have this can do about it. Please don't forget to, if you're enjoying this, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this out with more people. The more people that are watching, the more cool topics we can get in and the more discussions that we can have. I'd love to see 100 people in the chat room talking about their experiences and letting us learn more about this, because really it's just me and John jumping on the internet and going, oh, what are we going to talk about this week, and then just going and finding little bits of information. But that's nothing like talking to real people who are experiencing these things.
And that our goal isn't to provide you with every answer on the solutions here. We're not medical people, so we're just two guys doing our best to bring awareness to different things. Wow. And we want to get you thinking outside the box, even if it's something that you don't think about normally.
Well, I feel like Graveyard is my 10th grade English teacher. How would you like to see the country change and help prevent and deal with leukemia? We talked about preventative care and preventative medicine, and there are so many things. I remember I worked for a woman who had a son who had autism. He was older. And she had told me when she lived in the Middle East, like something would go wrong. She'd just go into the hospital. She'd just tell him her name. The doctor fixes it and she walks out. There's no bills to worry about. You just go in and get what you need done.
Yeah. And you can't tell me that costs more money than putting it off until a real emergency comes up. And now you have to take care of all of that stuff plus the emergency and more.
Right.
That costs way more money.
Exactly. And people having fear of going to the doctor because they know, if my leg
I'm going to get this bill that I'll never be able to pay.
Yeah, exactly. Then who knows what
come after my home and all of that stuff.
It's unfortunate. It's a real thing in this country, my brother.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, like, subscribe, share. It costs nothing and helps us spread the words on this show and all the other fabulous shows we have, such as Retro Alcove. All right, let's hit that last video.
All right.
And, all right, here we go.
È passato un anno da quella telefonata e io sto tornando all'ospedale, di nuovo. Leucemia acuta mieloide. Così si chiamava ciò che non andava nel mio sangue.
Sai che mi fa ancora male lì?
Certo, ma da tutte e due le parti.
Sì.
Ho fatto 3 cicli di chemioterapia, diversi mesi di cura. E oggi devo fare la biopsia ossea per controllare se la malattia è davvero scomparsa.
Sì, la zona rimane indolenzita per un po', Lucio. Adesso cerco di prendere un punto dove non ti sia stato prelevato già tanto, ma è ovvio che...
Ho diverse cicatrici sulla schiena ormai. Ma oggi è diverso.
Come va?
Sento dentro, insomma, che stai girando.
Fermo, adesso senti un po' tirare, Senti un po' tirare. Aspetta, fermo, bravissimo.
E non è il dolore,
Ok, senti ancora un po'.
o perlomeno non solo. È diverso. È qualche cosa di più simile all'assenza di pensiero, al buio, al terrore. Il terrore di dover ricominciare tutto da capo. La malattia se n'era andata, ma con lei era scomparsa anche una parte di me. Ed io ogni mese devo fare i controlli. Ogni mese un prelievo. Ogni mese la paura che ritorna.
Ci sono le pastiglie di mezzodora. Cosa la prendo dopo pranzo? Sì. A posto, dopo, grazie.
La prima volta che sono uscito da quelle stanze, dopo il primo ricovero, non riuscivo a pensare ad altro che alla malattia, a come era arrivata, alle cose che non avevo fatto, a quanto tempo mi sarebbe rimasto da vivere. E questo pensiero era così forte che non ero più io a pensare alla leucemia, ma era la leucemia che pensava a me. Lucio, quello di prima, non esisteva più.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, we gotta wait a moment. We got a copyright thing floating up here.
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. No, it says we're live.
Yeah, it says we're live, but it's just saying, it's just waiting for us to stop showing what we're showing, and then it'll come back again. It's just doing that.
Oh, okay. Well, just like before, we're gonna keep going here.
Sorry about that.
Let's see. Policy violations came up. Oof. Remain seated.
We'll stay
be right
seated.
back.
I let them know to remain seated.
Right. Man, that's tough, dude. Did you see?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was wincing when they were shoving that into his back.
Oh, yeah. That's where they're getting the bone marrow sample.
And then, he was talking about it's not even the pain anymore. It's just like,
No.
it's
the terror of it returning.
Right.
And the lack of thoughts, like the dark kind of description. My pain has caused me to feel many of these types of feelings throughout my life so far, 28 years. So I can relate to that one girl that doesn't respond to people when they're around, it's the leukemia. When I go into my level 9 pain, 9.5, I go into zombie mode. I can hear you, but it's really, really, really hard for me to respond. And then at level 10 pain, forget it.
When I was watching that clip, there's a few things I'm terrified of, dude. I am terrified of a coma, of being in a coma.
I was in one for 3 days.
Oh my god! I wanted to. Oh, that needs to be a topic, dude. That's something I'm dying to learn about because I'm so fearful. Okay, two things. I'm fearful of dying in a small trapped place.
Okay.
And I'm fearful,
like an elevator or in some other small confined area,
like an earthquake, and then being caught in a
small like under
area.
An overpass or something.
Like I'm very claustrophobic.
Oh, okay.
And then the other one is
we're back.
Slipping into a coma. How do you even see that? I don't even know.
Oh, because I have the live feed of what we're doing right over here. That's the YouTube channel. So I'm watching us.
Okay. Hello there.
I do that just out of habit.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely afraid of being able to hear or being conscious of my surroundings, but not being able to respond, like not being
Gotcha.
able to move. Do you know the Metallica song One? And then that's based off a real movie. That is like my absolute fear. Have you ever you know the Metallica song One? Metallica's from way,
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
Uh,
Wow.
do,
Wait,
do
that's
you know
taking me
the
back. Wow, I had their albums too. Wow.
I don't know if you remember the lyrics to that song or what that's based off of, but it's based off an old movie called Johnny Got His Gun.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that
Okay.
song?
I
Okay.
remember that song too. Yeah.
Yeah, so what it
Holy.
was is in this movie, it's I believe it's World War II,
Okay.
and he ends up like a bomb explodes next to him, and he comes back with no arms, no legs, no
Yes.
ability to speak, and no vision, but he can hear.
Yes.
And so like he's got, I mean, he's just laying there. He's just, you know what I mean? That is my absolute number one fear in life.
Okay. I would think that would be a lot of people's fear to end up in a situation like that. Because honestly, I mean, what do you do? I mean, what can you do back then? It's especially with today's technology now, they are able now to connect things to you to where you could use your eyes to control things. So if you're in a power wheelchair, you can control with, you could also use your neck muscles or your head to, or a puffer. There's different ways now that technology can help us live life through those situations. But back then, you're screwed. But yeah, that would definitely be something that still, even with technology today, would still be a bona fide fear for many people. So wow. So claustrophobia and basically being left helpless.
Exactly. And not just helpless, but with no way to communicate.
No way to communicate. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And you know, I have to say, and I am again, I find myself apologizing often for my ignorance on this channel, but I was watching Alex's channel the other night. Oh wait, Alex just popped up. Alex says, "Why is everything seem to be?" Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. At any rate, I was watching Alex's channel, and there was a guy there who was quadriplegic. He could only move his head.
Yes.
But this guy was killing it on video games. He had this little mouth stick. I don't know how he does shooting and does, because he was flipping through his weapon console and he was playing just like you and I would play the game, where if I was watching some other streamer, and this guy was kicking butt with just his mouth.
Yes. Oh yeah. Some people use their feet. Some people use, there's various ways for people to interface.
And I've seen people, communicate with the mouth thing and do other things, but I've never seen people play a video game.
Yep.
Huh?
There are DJs that use mouth sticks to do DJing on 2 turntables, a mixer, and they bring in the people. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I met a young lady online years ago called DJ Short E, and she uses a mouth stick to do all of her DJing, and she was phenomenal. She was just blowing my mind. I'm like, what? You go, girl.
That's fantastic. Well, I admire people that can do that.
Same here.
I can't imagine the journey, the struggle it got to get there. I'm constantly referencing him. The Fearless. When Chris Hansen, the last episode, they were talking about life and getting older.
Yes.
And he had to wear that suit that made him like an older man.
Yes.
And the guy who invented the suit or was, did work with it or whatever, was explaining that people have different levels in different levels when they put on. First, it's almost like the levels of grief. First, it's denial. I can still do everything that I'm a young man. I can still, you know what I mean? But the suit restricts you, and then you have to get to a place of acceptance. And it's when you get to that acceptance that you can now find ways to not overcome what you're dealing with, but to deal with what you're dealing with.
Yes, exactly. come to terms, to accept, to realize that this is now what it is.
This is the new norm.
Yeah. And like I told Jody when she was telling me about this spinal stimulation surgery I'm going to be going in for, I said, what nobody seems to understand is I've been dealing with my pain for so long, I've come to peace with it. It's just there. Okay. It's background noise. Even when it goes off and I'm spazzing out, it's still just background noise at this point to me. I choose to make it that. It's not going to I'm not going to let it ruin my. She's like, but as you get older and stuff, is your thought process? I said, it's taken me this long to get to where I am. I'm not going to backpedal now.
Right.
I said, but if I go and do something and it doesn't work, and I got my hopes, like, yeah, this is going to work. I have a 90% chance of success. I had already gone through that once before. This is not my first time at the rodeo. I had another doctor tell me I had a 98% chance of something succeeding. And here I am.
Wow.
So that one devastated me mentally like you can't begin to imagine. It was like putting a freight train on top of me, fully loaded. That's nothing. Try to put the entire earth on top of me. That's a little bit what we're talking about.
It's like giving you a sense of hope and then just pulling it away from you.
Yeah, and you're sitting here mentally. You're prepared for this because you had a successful test run with an injection, but the injection is different than the procedure you're going to go through because they're going to target the actual nerves themselves, and you go through the process, and it doesn't work. In fact, made it worse.
Right.
So,
well, as we get ready to wrap here, taking us back to our topic for tonight, leukemia.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. Dude, this happens every Friday on Kyber Cave After Dark. That earlier in the show, I had talked about kind of a list of things that sometimes we were saying that people don't even really realize they have a blood disease or anything going on, because this can be late onset. You can get it when you're over 55 years old. So it can be an all of a sudden thing. But they were more pale, they were bruising easier, they were bleeding a lot more. There are signs, and they didn't come up until they went to do an exam. So really what I like to say is, listen to your body as much as you can. I'm terrible about taking that advice. But listen to your body and do what you can before things get out of control and out of hand. Because sometimes they are precursor to other things.
Yes, definitely. One of the things I've learned, and I'll repeat this because this is worth knowing. If you have any doubt or questions about your diagnosis with your doctor, ask what your differential diagnosis is. That's why my blood doctor sent my stuff to the Mayo Clinic. He wanted to get another look at it, a different doctor's point of view on it. Right. So he can then have his idea, their idea, and see if the two match or something's different, and then find out the difference in the diagnosis and let me know. Right. If you don't ask that question, they don't have to tell you. I found out the hard way that my last GP had diagnosed me not even as paraplegic, not as even in pain that much, and also able to walk around with crutches. Because of his wrong report, even if it was not intentional, has delayed my accessibility to a wheelchair for over a year.
Right.
I felt no other choice but to report him to the state attorney general's office to say, this type of thing has prevented me from the level of care and access to care that I've come to expect being a United States citizen. Right. I'm not trying to sue him for money and stuff, but to make it clear that this sort of thing needs to be addressed. Right. And I'm letting people know that the big question to ask is, what is my differential diagnosis, to get your doctor to take a serious look at your entire diagnosis from the ground up again if they're not listening to you. Hey, got to learn things the hard way. Don't ask it. And then you'll find out later on when you're not getting treatment, maybe for cancer, leukemia, or other stuff, and you go, why not? Why not? You keep asking, why is this? And then finally someone says, well, it says on here, your doctor's report says you don't have this, or this is not something you even deal with. But I'm telling you I am. Okay? And I said, further than that, I have the federal government to back me up. I had to fight for 10 years to get SSDI and Medicare. And Medicare has all those information.
Right.
So it's maddening the way things are done. And sorry, kind of going off topic here, but this can lead down to a path to where if you do have leukemia and things are going kind of south and nobody's figuring out what they can do to help you, maybe you need to get your differential diagnosis so you can actually then get two different looks at the same thing. It's like getting a second opinion, but getting it through the one doctor you're asking the question of, so he double checking his work.
Right.
Sorry.
Sounds about right to me. All right, guys, we are here at our hour point. Once again, you know what? We should actually really make a card that we can put up at the beginning of the show. Another project for the show. We should make a card that says, we are not doctors. I want to remind everybody that we do not have medical experience, and none of this is meant to be prescribing you or anything, or telling
it's not
you
advice.
how you should live. It's not advice. That's what we want to get at. It is simply our curiosity and our wanting to make the public aware of different conditions and different things that people deal with. So I want to thank everybody out there in the world. Great. Oh, let's see. Graveyard says, you gents have a great night. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Graveyard.
Thank you. Thank you, Graveyard.
And make sure to check out They Mostly Pod Out at Night. Mostly. They are the fantastic sponsors of KYBER CON 3. So we will have some of their merch there. But make sure to check out that podcast anywhere you can, and on YouTube too. And make sure it's They Mostly Pod Out at Night, not podcast, because I made that mistake. They Mostly Pod Out at Night. Mostly.
Just mostly.
We want to thank Alex and Joe and everybody else who tuned in.
Definitely.
And we will see you next week. Next week, we actually have our topic for next week ahead of time, because we talked about this just because... I also want to remind everybody, this weekend is KYBER CON 3. If you live in Northern California or anywhere near Northern California, please come out. We have the only North American appearance of a Squid Game actor in the United States.
Yeah,
Mr. John D. Michaels, VIP number 1.
He's awesome.
So excited. Alan Fernandez, the last living Tuscan Raider from the original New Hope, will be there. We've got Eric Voss and Tommy Bechtold. Tommy Bechtold is the host of the show. Going to be the host of this event. But Eric Voss, both from New Rockstars, will both be here. And world-class flow artist Joshua Pilla, as well as a musical performance by Mr. Hooper and a demonstration by the Twilight Knights.
Nice.
Hourly giveaways, all kinds of vendors, a booth, costume contest, best combat saber contest. It is going to be grand, my man. So if you can be here, please be here. I know you can't be here, John. I'm bummed out about that.
That's why I'm hoping you guys shoot some video, and hopefully, I was hoping you guys could go live, but nope.
You know what? Okay, so I know this sounds funny, but we were seriously talking about it. I was Graveyard, in fact. We were talking about it with Mezzo, since this is KYBER CON 3. If we end up making this back in the traditional track again and having one yearly, if we keep doing what we're doing with this channel, it's very possible that we could fly everybody out for the next one. Well, not you, maybe you. Maybe we'll get you a long, I don't know, limo ride or something.
I don't need a limo. I wouldn't need a limo. Oh my God.
I don't know. Well, I know you don't like to fly, so we will figure out how to get you
I just don't want to lose. I don't want to get my wheelchair damaged because I don't have any extras.
Is that your big concern about flying? Is your wheelchair?
Yep. Because if they damage it, I'm SOL. I can't use any other wheelchair. That's the frustrating part with this. I just can't hop into another wheelchair for more than like 5 minutes before I need somebody pushing me, because my pain level will go up to about a level 9 to 10, and I'll be spazzing out in the chair. And I'm pretty much useless at that point. This chair, I sit in a certain way to where it keeps me from my back or my SI joint area from shifting too much out of position to where it gets that angry. I can feel it sometimes, but I've learned how to sit a certain way over time. So I've got all of my chairs, like my couch, this chair, my wheelchair, all set the same way. So when I'm sitting there, I'm comfortable for a long period of time. And if I go onto a flight, I'm not able to sit that way possibly. Or if I have to hop into one of those little, what they call aisle wheelchairs, even though my wheelchair is narrow enough to fit down any of those airplane aisles, but they won't let me take that onto the plane. And if they throw it underneath the belly, I know how they treat luggage. They just throw it all in down there. We're talking about tonnage worth of stuff on top of my chair. It'll just deform or damage the frame or the wheels. And if I can't use it, I'm SOL.
Right.
It sucks. I love flying. It's such a fun thing to do.
Huh. So really, the problem is not flying; it's the wheelchair. Okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it's how they treat it.
It gives me food to things to think about. Things to think about. Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to take up airtime for all this.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, then it seems like we need to get you in the position that you can afford another wheelchair.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
hurry up,
this out. All right. From myself, I am Ark at the Kyber Cave and Kyber Cave Productions. I want to thank you for being with us. This is John from Ability TVs. Make sure you are checking out all of our other shows. We are running shows 6 days a week now, including our newest show, our hottest show, The Beatdown, which comes out every Tuesday. And what's
or every other,
cool,
depending on my pain and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll talk about that. I like to try to keep consistent schedules whenever possible. I lost my train of thought. Oh, what I want to say was what's cool about the Beatdown. The Beatdown is the very first cross-collaborative channel project on Kyber Cave Productions. Meaning, you can go over to Ability TVs and watch the creation of the show. You can be there live as John. That's how you do it, right? You do live recording.
Yeah, I'll be on there live doing the edits or the mixing and whatnot.
Right.
And,
so you can head over to Ability TVs, watch John put the show together live. That's almost like getting a sneak peek of what the show's going to look like.
It's called Behind the Scenes.
Right. Well, there you go. So you can check out Beatdown behind the scenes over at Ability TV, and then tune into Kyber Cave Productions and watch the final product there. So
exactly.
It is very cool. Thank you, Alex. It's a very cool. I think it's a fun show. It's a great show, and it's been getting a lot of attention lately. So,
and if you guys are curious about links and stuff, hopefully they'll be putting links sharing where my media is, my socials are down below here, so you guys can check that out and stuff to connect to me easier. I don't usually put my advertisement into the video, so that's why the link thing, because down at the bottom.
We'll talk to Mez and see if there's I don't know if there's a permanent thing that can get copied and pasted in every week or something. We'll figure that out because technology is not my.
It's okay. You can pre-set up everything to where it's pre-set up.
All right. Okay, my man.
Okay, sorry.
I gotta get going. I got stuff to do. I got a call in here in about 2 days that calls for me. So we want to once again thank everybody for being out there. If you need a pair of Saber chopsticks, come over to KYBERCave.com and we got you taken care of right in the merchant tab. We will be here next week. Our topic next week is going to be blindness. So make sure to tune back in next week. All right, y'all.
All right.
Peace. Oh, I gotta get her a little outro. By the way, I want to thank all of our incredible Patreons, including one of the gentlemen sitting here on screen. Actually, both of us are Patreon members. I want to thank all of our incredible Patreons for helping us make this channel happen every month.
You're welcome.
I think Mez is getting her cell phone fixed this month because of our wonderful patrons. So, thank you so much. We love you and peace.